How's it going, all you independent people out there? This is the Creator Comics Indie Creator Spotlight with a very special interview tonight. With basically, this is an honor for me because I just know this man by his work, and because of his work, I have something to do every Mondays where I get a chance to talk about comics with a really cool guy, and that's sort of how we linked. But this is kind of half his bag. He actually did start this review show as well with Angel back in back in the old days when it was we'll talk about it, but there used to be Amazing Action Comics, and that you had a review podcast that this gentleman Angel did. And at some point, I came along into the picture, and first and foremost, very exciting week for this gentleman. And unfortunately, Angel can't be here at this time. Hopefully he will be able to show up later, because this was my opportunity to put Angel in the hot seat and ask him a bunch of questions about his creative process. And instead, Justin, you're going to get the whole brunt of it. So let's get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Creator Comics Indie Creator Spotlight. Justin Bartz. Justin is one half of Indie Creator Comics, along with Angel Santiago, of course, my co-host on this venture. And he is also the writer of all incarnations of Project Shadowbreed, as well as Red Hyena, right? And we'll get into a little bit more of his other work, his past work. But I want to get right to it. Congratulations. You guys hit your goal. So perfect time for Thanksgiving. You got the turkey. So folks, they got the turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, but you know what they're missing? They're missing the gravy. So this is your chance to, if you like what you hear here, and you want to jump on and help them surpass their goal. I think there's a $1,000 flex goal, I think, going on right now. Anything else at this point in this Kickstarter for the brand new Project Shadowbreed reboot is gravy. And what goes with Thanksgiving turkey better than gravy, right? So let's get these guys some gravy for their turkey. So if you're like, oh, it's already funded, I don't need to hop on. No, hop on, because anything else will really make the meal that much better. And I believe the way these things work, the more money that you make, the more incentives and tiers and goodies people can get.
Yep, that's the way it is. So even though we're funded already, which thank you to everyone who helped back us and bring this dream alive, the more people who add on, we can unlock more perks and tiers, and everyone can keep getting more free stuff. So even if you only got a comic at one of the lower tier ends, you're still going to get bonus stuff added to yours the higher we go.
Very cool. Very cool. I think there's some trading cards involved. Are there any other ideas you guys are knocking around for bonus tiers?
I think there's a bonus tier where I think if we hit it, we get to release issue 2.
That's a great one.
I think if we hit the 1,500 mark, everyone gets issue 2 along with issue 1. I could be wrong. I could be the next one above that, but I think that was one of the bigger perks we were trying to hit, because we have issue 1 and 2 are completely done, and issue 3 we're almost done with the process of, and then issue 4 is already written, so it just has to be drawn and lettered. So we're already ahead of the game.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So again, congratulations. Just a hair over 3 weeks. I think that's fantastic for these sort of ventures. I have had a chance to read this first issue. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I love what you guys are doing. Definitely want to see more. Let's roll back the clock now a little bit, and let's go all the way back to, how did you meet Angel? And how did you decide to start what once was Amazing Action Comics and is now Indie Creator Comics?
I think me and Angel, I found him, I want to say on either Twitter or Facebook, looking for comic book artists, because the very first attempt with Project Shadowbreed, we used Magician's House was the artist name she went by, and we did 5 issues. We got picked up by a small indie publisher, and then they couldn't keep up with everything after the first 4 issues were released. So we got all of our rights back and everything from them. Attempted another go with another publisher, and the same thing happened. We kicked out the first 3 issues, and then it kind of fell flat. And so that's when I kind of took everything to myself and started looking to relaunch everything. And I stumbled into Angel on, it was either Facebook or Twitter, and we were gonna start drawing new Project Shadow Breed, and it kind of went from just being one comic to starting Amazing Action Comics and actually starting a publishing company for not only comics that I wrote and Angel wrote, but for other people to help get their creative works out to everyone. And when COVID and everything else kind of hit, Amazing Action Comics kind of took a big hit. We were actually doing pretty good. We were in several stores across the country. We were selling out in like Philadelphia, like random places, which was really cool. And then, yeah, like I said, COVID kind of shut everything down, and we were kind of stagnant and flatlining. And so that's when we started with the reboot of Project Shadow Breed. And what other way to do a reboot than do the whole rebranding to the Indie Creator Comics line and more focused instead of just sounding like Action Comics. We're letting everyone know it's just straight up indie, anything indie. That's what we're about, and we want to help support and help just other creators, not just the stuff that Angel and I are doing, but get other people's work out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were. Yeah, and you guys were definitely on that track previously. I mean, you definitely had a lot of, you branched out into beyond the action genre, even beyond like the normal comic size with like 1 or 2 projects. So like there was some neat stuff that was you guys were working on there. So it's great to see the rebranding and the fresh energy and the new approach. Now,
yeah.
Really quick before we get a little bit into Project Shadow Breed and that's Genesis. Take us through a little bit, like what was it like starting your own comic company? What type of hurdles did you have to jump through, and any advice for anybody who's looking to do the same thing?
Hurdles would be a lot. we had never done it before, either one of us, so it was kind of taking on a whole new venture of business owner, promoter, writers, creators, editors, letterer. Like we were wearing many hats under the Amazing Action Comics umbrella. Yeah, it was fun when we would do like a open submit and people would send in their comics, and Angel would be like, "Hey, check this one out. I like this one. Check this out." And I'd have a stack of stuff to read over the weekend, and we'd talk about what we liked. And like Drunkard from Outer Space was my favorite one that we signed and we actually published to help someone else's comic get out there. That was my favorite one of something we stumbled across and was able to do, and was actually able to sell issues of that comic at Comic-Cons along with Project Shadow Breed stuff. So that was just really cool. That was probably the funnest experience, was bringing in someone new and interviewing them and talking to them and helping bring their dream to life. Yeah, I guess like the other thing would just be, if you're gonna get into this, the second part of the question answer, be patient and make sure it's a labor of love, and that you're willing to take the losses with the wins, because there's going to be a lot more losses and stumbles than there are wins and crossing the finish line. This is like our 5th Kickstarter, I think, that we've tried throughout the years with other ones, and the first couple failed. We didn't really understand the promoting and getting in the niche with the indie comics and how to find I guess our fan base. And now this time around, we knew what kind of we were doing. It was, as you could see, we achieved our goal in about 3 weeks, and it was easier to kind of travel those waters, I guess.
Very cool. Very cool. We're going to roll the clock back even further now, even further. We're going to go back to young Justin Bartz. Growing up, if you want to say where you grew up, that would be great. And basically what were the comics that you read as a kid that, kind of you feel led you on this path?
I grew up. I'm a Michigan kid,
Very
Detroit
cool.
Tigers fan,
Nice.
just
uh,
just outside of Grand Rapids. And in the 90s, I got into comics. I'm the oldest in my family of five siblings, but I was one of the younger cousins. And
mhm.
so my older cousins were reading, in 1991, it was all the X-Men, X-Force, Sabretooth. And what really got me into it was my cousin Martin drew a picture of Wolverine. He had beheaded Sabretooth, and he had Wolverine standing like that and Sabretooth's head on it, and he drew it, and that stuck with me. I
Hmm.
was like, I want to create characters that people love. Like I fell in love with Wolverine and Sabretooth and everything right there. The same cousins got me into Highlander, watching those movies. And so I was running around with sticks in the woods, trying to cut off my brother's heads because there can only be one. And so that's what got me into it was my cousins being into RoboCop and all of that stuff, and they're the ones who got me into reading the violent comics at a young age. So it was, oh, cousin Martin or cousin Andrew let me read this, or I got this from cousin Jason and stuff like that. So that is how young Justin got into the world of comics.
That's very cool, and much like Angel, again, growing up in Hell's Kitchen, New York, his big comic, the comics that really grabbed him and made him a fan and eventually a creator were the Image comics from the early '90s as well, piggybacked on those X-Men comics for because again, there was as
Yep.
Angel and I talk about all the time that whole Image creation thing. It does, Jim Lee's X-Men and Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man and Eric Larson's, all Spawn, pun intended,
Mm-hmm.
Image comics, right? So that's really neat to hear that's the same sort of comics that grabbed you, or that same era that grabbed you. Because I had a comic in my hand when I was like 3 years old, and I was hooked ever since. So I've
Yeah.
always had an appetite and a steady diet of comics. So it's really cool, and I also like the aspect that you the movies that you referenced, RoboCop and Highlander. First of all, love it because Angel hates Highlander, and that's a big yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Angel is not a fan. Angel is not a fan. Now again, Highlander can be daunting. Highlander can be daunting. I think the Highlander, like the slogan, there could be only one, or there should have been only one, because that first movie is magical. That first movie is
Yes.
great.
Oh, so
Um, Even and I think for Angel in the first movie, you had to get past the '80s practical effects. So the one thing that he does cite, which is the things that take you out of the movie, is when the boulder comes crashing down and just kind of bounces off Sean Connery's shoulder when the castle is coming apart. It's little things like that. I get it. I get it. For me, it's Batman Returns. Whenever the Penguin walks by that gravestone and it wobbles, and I'm like, oh man,
okay.
how'd you
Yeah.
miss that? So, but Highlander and RoboCop are very much comic book movies
Yeah.
that were not originally comics. I remember my dad said this. We walked out of RoboCop, and he was like, "Wow, that was really neat. That was like a comic book movie, even though there's no comic." I was like, "Good call, Dad." And same thing with Highlander. They're a little bit more than just your generic action movie fare. They have these very high concepts, and and very rich worlds, right? A lot of world
Yeah.
building in both those movies, which is something you really do get in comics. So I love that those were two of the movies that you cited that sort of inspired your desire to be a creator. And so pretty
Yeah.
much from that point on, you knew it was going to be comics though, and not movies. You weren't going to try and be a screenwriter. You want to write comics.
Yeah, as a kid, we like in elementary school, we had like your author of the week, and you could write a book as many as you wanted, as many pages, and moms would come into the school and they'd edit it and help you tell your story. And I still have probably 15 to 20 of those weird little books I wrote. Like it was the early 90s, so there's a lot of Dallas Cowboys winning Super Bowls. There's a lot of I drew like my own Batman stories, which I should probably send that to Angel. He would get a kick out of 8-year-old Justin's Batman story. And like there was just stuff like that. And like we've read them to the kids. Like my kids have found them. So I've always wanted to be a writer. and then you get to middle school and writing doesn't get you chicks. So I was playing football and playing guitar. I was in my little punk bands. High school, same thing, football, guitar. And then out of high school, was in bands and, working. And then it stumbled into, like, I always had these creative ideas and I just started outletting it into writing. So like writing has always just been something that I've been into to pass the time, I guess.
Right on, right on. And is Project Shadowbreed your first published work, or do you have writing
Yeah.
credits out? Okay, it is.
No, yeah.
Yeah, right
That's my
on.
first published work. That was my first time, uh, I guess, taking the risk and being like, "Hey, let's see if anyone else thinks this idea is cool."
Nice.
That's
And
literally how it worked.
and tell us about Project Shadowbreed. What would people expect? What is the log line, right? And then let's go a little bit more into what you're trying to get across with this story.
The best way to do Project Shadowbreed, instead of Captain America super soldiers, they made a werewolf super soldier, and they were trying to make a pack of them. And one of those with two alphas, they did not get along, so they separated one to go to the CIA and learn to be more of the super spy, infiltrate everywhere, almost how Wolverine is in Marvel, can get into any building, get his way out. But they use it as a werewolf super soldier to do it, and he ends up in an accident and comes to in Seattle with his handler Leroy, and they're fighting crime while trying to keep Syntech, the company that made them, off their backs. And so that's where we picked up with the story. And if we get to, it's going to take you on a long, adventurous ride, very X-File esque, with the different programs and conspiracies. Not everything is going to be involved around aliens. We're going to do a lot of like the old horror folklores and stuff like that, but with a scientific twist on it, coming from Syntech. So it's going to be like a lot of like your classic horror stuff. The vampires are going to have their own twist to them. Creature of the Black Lagoon, its own twist to fit our super sci-fi horror anti-hero werewolf story. I guess that's the best way to do it, like that.
Yeah, yeah. I one of the things I did really like in that first issue is the handling of the flashbacks, the sort of the world building, the history
Yeah.
of how we got to this point. Breaking that up, I thought was really good, really well executed, and it just broke up the pacing and the action in a really nice way of the present day portion of it. And again, you kind of got a feeling of being in the lead character Marek's head, almost that it's like sort of what he's remembering from what he's been told and what he's experienced as well. So I thought it was really paced well in that first issue. And I love that you said you kind of have this X-Files type mythology around Syntech and all of this. So I think that's really fantastic. The other thing I really love is the sort of 80s buddy cop vibe, the relationship between Merrick and Leroy. I think I cited it when I was talking with Angel about it, a little bit Lethal Weapon, a little bit Tango and Cash. Was that baked in from the beginning that you thought, instead of being so super serious, these guys can have sort of this lighthearted back and forth and interplay?
I never, I didn't intend for it to be so buddy cop. It's actually more based on my stepdad and I. Leroy being my stepdad, Merrick being the young rebellious kid that I was back in the day, and how it's even in really serious, no one should be making a joke moment. My dad and I are always those two guys making that joke and making the other one laugh, or just making that inappropriate joke that's just like no one would say that right now. And that's our coping mechanisms, I guess. That's our relationship, and that's kind of how I wanted to approach it. Is, I don't want to do the classic, oh, the hero has been mind wiped 1,000 times and been programmed with memories. No, I'll give a little spoiler. Merrick's been through a severe head trauma that you see in issue 1, and his healing factor regrew his brain tissue, and all of that stuff, since it's regrown brain tissue, it's not there. He has no memories of certain aspects of his past. So with that being said, Leroy is kind of there to be kind of that father figure, help him find his humanity, teach him how to be a man, teach him how to be a soldier, kind of like how your dad does for you as a kid. And this is going to be a stepdad son story to, I guess, help explain why you're going to see the growth between the characters of Leroy and Merrick.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. The amnesia piece is a big part of it. And it's sort of like, you almost get a sense that it's still there. And I feel like I don't want to like blow up your narrative spot or anything like that. So but I that's sort of where I was making that connection as the reader that they're, because it's not in his narration or anything like that. It is just the history lesson is being pieced together as you're following this action. But it was almost like, I don't know, it itched the back of my mind a little bit as I was reading it. And that was where that notion came from. And I want to talk a little bit about the artist and how you approach writing a comic book script. So you have a new artist for this new version of Project Shadowbreed. So how did that happen? Where did you guys link up? And how does what is your process as far as writing a comic script and how you relay that information?
Well, I will start with how Alex and I linked up, and I have to give all of that credit to Angel. Angel did a open submit your work. We were looking for an artist to start off the reboot, and a bunch of artists sent in all their stuff, and Angel picked out I think it was like the top 10 or top 15 of the people that he thought fits my style, more that black and white, gritty, Sin City, we're in Seattle type art style that I'm a fan of. And so he found those 15 and sent them to me. And after going through them all and looking at everyone, Alex was the one who I felt like was the best at, could capture what I wanted to see. And we sent him a couple sample pages, and what he sent back was absolutely beautiful. And we just took off from there. And my writing process is like when you read Project Shadowbreed, you'll see each issue kind of reads almost like an action movie. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like how I write it. I see it in my head like a movie, and I kind of just write what I see. And when I read it back, if it doesn't make sense, I hit rewind and go back in my head and replay a different scenario out and make sure that it all makes sense. And I just let the keys start typing away, and next thing I know, it's been 2.5 hours and I got 17 pages written, and I don't know where to go with it. So I send it off to Angel, and Angel, he gets his fingers into it and starts asking me, why are they doing this? What's the motive here and there? And, and then I take it back and add all the rest of the seasoning and the potatoes to the meat that we had cooking there. And next thing I know, we got a kick-ass comic book script, and then I hand it to my wife, who makes sure that I spelled, the words correctly and I don't sound like an idiot. And then then we send it off to Alex to get his input or 2 cents on if he wants to change anything or how he interprets like my paneling. Sometimes he can make 2 panels that I have look better as one. And so I've kind of given him like, hey, if you can do that, like, just let me know what you're changing so we can work it out. And so far, I think he's 10 for 10 on the suggestions and changes that he's wanted to make. And visually, he is bringing what I'm putting down in words. He is bringing those characters to life, and you'll see it in those pages. It is. I love it. Like, it was when I first saw issue 1, like, together, and we were looking at it digitally. I couldn't believe how well he captured what I saw in my head, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. I love that you have that, your simpatico, and that he does catch what you're putting down. I like that, because usually I like to ask, do you work full script or do you do Marvel method? And I like what you do. You have this sort of combination where you do your first draft essentially.
Yep.
You get the notes from Angel, and then you do your revised and possibly final draft. But then when it goes to the artist, you have that room for improvisation or input from the artist as well, which then you're able to amend and make that adjustment as well. And I think that's really cool. But what's really, really cool is seeing the look on your face and the joy in your voice when you are talking about seeing what's in your head on the printed page or on the digital screen. That to me is priceless. That is awesome. That really means that as a creator, you achieved that. You achieved that moment that creators look for is, my visualization, whether you're in music or art or writing or acting or whatever, you have to pre-visualize what you're going to do and what you want the end result to be. And to hit that moment, man, that's the dragon everybody chases. I love that. I love seeing it. That's
it is. It is like the first time I saw, there's some of the action pages, you'll see them. Merrick is coming off the page, and it is so awesome. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And then knowing what is going to happen in the upcoming issues and then seeing those panels come to life, like, oh man, we got some sweet stuff happening.
Now, original, you mentioned the original Project Shadowbreed wound up being 5 issues. There was also a Red Hyena mini series. Right now, you said you have 2 issues ready to go, 3rd in progress, with many, many, many more along the way. What is the ideal? What's the magic number in your mind, or you'll find it when you get there?
Well, if I got to tell the story that I have mapped out, which I'll be sending to Angel here tonight, tomorrow, I have the first 25 issues all mapped out.
Very cool.
If I can get that far, awesome. Past that, great. I have it outlined like ideas, like big ideas, just not worked into the individual issues, but like the big, broad, where we're heading. I have all of that planned. So if I can get past 25 issues, I mean, we could really tell easily a 50 to 75 issue story arc of just the Project Shadowbreed part. But then if I get that far, that means I get to add Red Hyena and the Hit Squad and all the other little stuff I have added. So we could be looking at like a 125 issue universe just to lay the groundwork.
Wow. That's ambitious. And
that's all that's up here.
that's great, man. That's great. And I was going to ask, if someone's familiar with, original flavor Project Shadowbreed, were some of those characters that we started to see in there, including Red Hyena, there's room for them in this new world, this new universe.
Yep. If you've read the original Project Shadowbreed, the Persuader, our big bad trucker, he is in this. He's in issue 2, so he is. He made the cut. Red Hyena's in, and I think those were the only bad guys in that first round. I can't remember. We are keeping Courtyard from when we attempted that other reboot, because that character is was inspired by a friend of mine who recently passed away. So I got to keep my boy Courtyard in there because he was a fun character to write, and got to keep. I want to keep him around for Anders' memory. So that'll be a character that's keeping around, and then just some of them Angel and I have been talking about for so long that it's exciting knowing that they're going to be making their appearance in the upcoming issue. So that's really exciting as well.
Nice. And so, super nerdy question here. So there's this one version of Project Shadowbreed that already exists out there. There's this new reboot. Are we looking at a multiverse? or will we not
No.
want to play in the multiverse sandbox? All right, very
No,
good.
I'm not going to play in that sandbox. I'm gonna keep all of my toys over here. There's just going to be one universe, and it's rebooted, and this is the only one.
Right on, right on. I mean, now, I mean, you know, I thought the original that original trade is fantastic. It is so much fun. Again, high octane '80s movie, action beats all over the place, and the Red Hyena miniseries, which is in that trade that I held up before, is really cool too. Are there plans? Do you still have the back catalog out there, or you as well, just with the new rebranding, or you kind of want to move on, and people would have to kind of hunt around for the old stuff?
The Red Hyena stuff is going to stay the same.
Cool.
The head games issue
Yeah.
or miniseries, that's going to stay the same. Her story is actually going to pick up after issue 3 of Project Shadowbreed in the reboot, and then it'll go right into the head games, and then we'll just keep her going right along from there. And yeah, and then Project Shadowbreed is going to be all new material.
Right on, right on. So yeah, so if somebody wants one of these, they got to like sweet talk you or hunt around to find them.
Yeah, they're gonna have
So
to have Sweet Talk Angel and me, and then try to find some of the other people who've already bought them.
well, I mean, look, that it was great stuff. It was really good stuff as well. But I am like you, very excited to see where this is going to go, and I really think that you did kick it off with a really strong first issue that definitely leaves the reader wanting more. And yeah, I had fun reading it. I'm looking forward to more. And man, I hope you hit that number. I really, really do. I think what you guys have put together has been fantastic. And again, not just because it gives me something to do on Mondays to talk about comics with some really cool folks like Angel and yourself and the other creators we've had on here. So I do want to also thank you for that opportunity. But as far as guys who love comics and love making comics, it really does show. It really shows in everything that you guys put out.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that everyone can see how nerdy I am, because I try to hide it behind this beard and these tattoos and try to look tough. But deep down, yeah, I'm a nerd.
Beards and tattoos are probably the nerdiest thing that I've come across, because I work in a comic shop, and it's a lot of beard and tattoos, man. And again, that's kind of the thing about comics too. It's like, comics don't have that stigma they used to anymore. That a lot of men, a lot of tough guys do also read comics and love the same kind of comics that we love, because those types of things are very universal. Like I said, that 80s action movie vibe, everybody loves that. Everybody loves a good buddy cop story. And again, that's, I think, what really works about what's going on with this. And I mentioned Angel too. You got like the A-Team type van situation going on as well, which is just hits you in the nostalgia feels. So I think that's really, really cool. Very good.
John, I do want to let you know something. I will not tell you what issue it is, but there is a Teen Wolf reference coming.
Very good. Very good.
There is one coming.
And so, yeah, I want to kind of touch on that again, folks. Also, there is the QR code up in the corner if you do want to get a link directly to this Kickstarter. Yeah, it's this way. Right? I always get this confused.
Nope.
Yeah, there we go. Like right under Superman. So, yeah. You kind of mentioned that love for sort of the monster genre. What was it that sort of landed on the werewolf or the half-breed stuck werewolf versus say a vampire or something else? What was it about that the lycanthropy aspect that appealed to you?
The werewolf has always been my favorite folklore thing, and up here in Michigan, we got the Michigan Dog Man, Michigan Wolf Man, just all of those stories and everything. And so I've just always loved the old school werewolf mythos, and I wanted to make it I wanted to pay homage to the old school werewolf, like the way that they looked like in the movies, the black and white movies, where you could see that it was a man with just long hair and claws. I don't know why I loved that look, and I thought the only way I could achieve that would make sense is if I had a guy who was caught in half transformation, and the best way to get there is how we did it in issue 1. And so that's kind of where it all started, just a fascination with werewolves and wanting to kind of leave my own mark on it, I guess.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, not to blow up your narrative spot again, but I do look forward to seeing some sort of interaction with some other hairy cryptids that exist out there in the Seattle or and northern area. So,
Well, I don't think I have to make it too obvious of where they're located, of what he could possibly run into that may or may not have been from Syntech.
very cool, very cool. And look, we got the cover here showing up on the screen there. So this is the one of the cover options, or this is the only cover option we have right now.
No, there's two cover options for issue 1.
Okay, very
this is
cool.
cover A.
Yep, very cool. And this is by Alex.
Yep, this is the cover that Alex did. This is actually one of the first pieces he sent us when we were trying to figure out if we wanted to use him or not, and it was so beautiful that we made it the cover.
Nice. And as far as the design and look, so obviously Alex is working with a pre-existing model and tweaked it, I guess, for the reboot. But the original initial design, purely yours. Are you an artist as well? Did you kind of dictate the look and then had an artist run with it?
And there's cover B that just popped up. No, for the look, it was me and the original artist, Magician's House, who kind of started with the hiding the face with the bandana and coming up with the reasons behind that. Mm-hmm. And then it being that grungy feel, that's why we went with the hoodie and the jacket type look, because I'm being in Seattle in the rain, and kind of just went from there, kind of just morphing with that 90s grungy, dirty 80s punk feel.
Very cool. And this variant cover, of course, is by Angel, correct?
Yes, Angel did this cover here.
Very cool. Yep. Nice. And so if somebody does the Kickstarter, they get to choose between the two covers, or they can get both covers. How does that...
There's different. Sorry to interrupt. That's one of my biggest flaws. I always interrupt.
Totally but I ramble if I don't get cut off. So
we're a match made in heaven then. No, there's different options. You could choose if you just wanted to get one comic. You could choose between covers A or B, and then there's other options where you can get both covers and Merrick's dog tags, and then I think there's shirts and dog tags. Like, we have a whole bunch of different options. And like we said at the beginning, we've already reached our goal. So everything after this is everyone's just getting free stuff. And who doesn't like free stuff?
Yeah, it's gravy for everybody for Thanksgiving. Yep. And besides this Project Shadowbreed universe and the Indie Creator Comics world, are there other stories that you have in you, whether they be all other comics, or would you like to take a stab at writing short stories or novels?
I have 3 other stories that I work on when I'm not working on Project Shadowbreed stuff. They're all comics. I haven't gotten the courage yet to step into another medium, so I'm going to just stick with comics and stick with, the stories that I know. But they are totally nothing like Project Shadowbreed. Totally different genres and everything. So, but they're looking forward to start bringing those to life one of these days. I'm still in the creative mode, where I'm still building the characters and all that stuff and fine-tuning the details of how those universes work.
Very cool. Well, keep at it. Good luck. And yeah, love to see more stories from you outside of this world. And again, I hope you hit that magic number and then some. You still play music? You still play guitar? You play guitar, you said, right?
Yep, I used to play guitar. Now I'm just been teaching my kids. I got a one playing guitar and one playing drums, so that's what we're doing right now.
You're going to be managing a band too.
Hey, if it pays well, I got no problem.
Nice. Justin, man, it was finally great to get to meet you. Great to finally get to meet you. And this is a blast. I really love talking with you. Love your enthusiasm. And I love that, that you have a plan. And I love that you guys once again took this leap into the unknown, and that this Kickstarter is working out for you. I think it was a great move, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future. I'll probably be one of the earliest people to take a look and get a little peek into it. But man, for somebody who loves comics and somebody who loves cool black and white indie action comics, this was just, put more in my veins. This was such a good time. So I really look forward to seeing more of it, and hope we get you maybe on the review show every now and then too. And you still read comics? You still?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I'm it's mostly actually, I've grabbed a couple from you guys, from reviews that you guys have shared. So I've grabbed from our local comic shop up here, but mostly I'm still on the big two, reading my Wolverine and I got Wolverine and I got Exo Manowar, so big three.
Oh wow, yeah, with the new Valiant 18th reboot. Boy, talk about reboots. Yeah.
They're my motivation. If they can keep going, we can keep rebooting too.
Exactly. Do you want to give a shout out to your local comic shop?
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Goldmine Comics in Grand Rapids, right there on 54th and Division. If anyone in the West Michigan area needs a place to go, hit up Goldmine Comics. I just want to say thank you for having me on, John. Thank you, Angel, for having me on, and thank you for all the help with the comics. Thank you everyone who's tuned in and supported the comic, and please check it out if you haven't already. ProjectShadowbreed.com, and back the Kickstarter, and let's get the number up and get everyone a copy of issue 2 and more free stuff.
Yeah, exactly. More free stuff for people who love comics. And Justin, any if people ever wanted to reach out to you on a social, do you do social media? Do you eschew social media? It's fine either way.
I'm on there a little, but I'm not very, but if you want to reach out to me, on Twitter, it's at Peak Like Dante. And Facebook, just my name. And you can find us on Project Shadowbreed on Facebook and Indie Creator Comics on Facebook, and both on Instagram. And just follow us, like and share what we're sharing, and just help us spread the word of some awesome indie comics.
But if you really, really want to reach Justin, you get in on this Kickstarter, because you're gonna reach him in the most important spot, in his heart.
Yep. Right.
So well, thank you again so much for taking the time. Again, thank you for creating this whole thing so that this middle-aged nerd could talk about comics on a weekly basis, and just chat with my good friend Angel, and I'm really happy to chat with you now, my new good friend Justin, and wish you guys all the success of the world on this. Angel, I do hope you feel better. You reader out there, you can catch me every week with Angel on Mondays at 1 p.m. Wherever you get your podcast action going on. You can also find me at my local comic shop, The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. But again, visit your local comic shop. Visit this Kickstarter, get in on Project Shadowbreed. You see that email address right there on the bottom, www.projectshadowbreed.com. And again, Justin, thank you so much. Best of luck to you. I'll be keeping a close eye on it, and I'll be cheering you guys along all the way to the finish line of 125 plus issues, as well as your other projects that are rattling around in your brain there. Folks, Thank you for spending time with us. I hope you had a good time. Hope you're inspired to go check out this Kickstarter. I'm going to get a little tweak on Angel's old sign off here. Folks, be independent, read something independent, stay independent. Indie Creator Comics, folks. Have a great night.